Here we go.
The pitch is hit in the air to deep center. Sizemore going back, away back, on the track, at the wall. It's gone! Oh, Georgie Juice one. Gardner. There goes the deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a Gardy party. He plants one in the right field seats. Gardy goes yardy from Price. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. He's homered. Derek Jeter.
What is going on, baseball fans? We are back. Welcome to the Pinstripe Plunge Report, your Wednesday night home for all things New York Yankees and the biggest stories from around Major League Baseball.
And we're not just rehashing box scores. We're breaking down the latest news, notes, and thoughts, theories, and opinions from 161st Street and River Ave to every corner of Major League Baseball. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jeremy, and don't forget we have our mailbag section coming up later on in the show, so drop your questions in the chat, the comment section, or DM us, whether it's for Bronx banter, trade speculation, power ranking, hot takes, or anything else. We want to hear it all from you.
This is the Pinstripe Plunge Report, but before we dive in, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to give us a 5-star review if you listen on any of our audio platforms, everywhere you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check out our link tree, linktr.ee/baseball banter broadcast, as all of our affiliate sponsor links, social platforms, and audio platforms as well. And our merch store is there. So go buy some stuff and support the podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we jump in today, we start with the leadoff spot. So now as we get into the leadoff spot, we have to begin with a topic that was one of Dave's rants from last week in our short porch section. And it's about Jasson Dominguez. Jasson absolutely has been stepping up in a massive, massive way on both sides of the baseball. We knew that he was capable of being an impact bat in the Yankee lineup day in and day out, but there was a lot of questions as to whether or not he was going to be able to stick in left field. And he's really been playing tremendous baseball in the outfield for the Yankees. Since we were last here last week on the first episode of the Pinstripe Plunge Report, offensively, Dominguez has been doing this thing. He's got a slash line of 400, 471, 553 with 6 hits, 2 doubles, a run scored, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, a stolen base, and he is having a hard hit percentage of 50% since last week. So without a shadow of a doubt, Jasson has been doing his thing. So Dave, how are you feeling about Jasson Dominguez in left field now a week later?
I feel great about it. I feel like I should talk trash more often. Obviously that has worked apparently. No, great. It's great to see him finally put it together. I was watching the game a little bit last night. I missed the game-winning heroics. I was just too damn tired and went straight to bed. But I saw the plays he made in left field. I was like, finally. I was like, I should talk shit more often. Like, positive results happen. Look at that. But, yeah, I'm glad he's finally putting it together. I'm glad on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, all good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what we wanted to see from this team, being able to put him out there. And, you know, it was a lot of worry, I guess, from the fan base as far as how poorly he looked in left field. But this is a major league player. This is a player capable of doing a lot of good things for this organization. So it was going to take time, and we're starting to see the fruits of that time and that effort.
I think the reason why the fan base was nervous is we haven't had a lockdown left fielder since Brett Gardner was here. We went from Brett Gardner to Joey Gallo, and we all know how that worked out. I'm not going to keep beating that fucking horse that's dead somewhere in this room. To left fielder by committee, to now watching Jasson in spring training not be able to put a glove in the mitt. So I think that's why everybody was a little concerned. It's been a while since we've had a solid left fielder. But all good things seem to be coming around the corner. So I'm thrilled.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that for New York, this is a big addition, especially because he's a switch hitter and continues to help balance that lineup out. If he can kind of build upon what we know he's capable of doing in the left side of the box on the right side, that'll really help kind of boost the rest of this lineup for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a good sign for us in the fan base of the Bronx. So now we're gonna jump into kind of the meat of this section with the Bronx beatdown.
See ya! See ya! That one's driven deep to left field. There it goes! See ya! Back on the track at the wall. They've done it again. Track, wall, see ya! The bat worked. High fly ball. See ya! A grand slam for Aaron Judge. They keep on doing it. See ya! High fly ball at the wall. See ya! 3 home runs for Aaron Judge. See ya! The Yankees' 9th home run of the day. They did it again.
So now, as we get to the heart of the order here, and what we are going to be enjoying going into next year, as we look ahead, the WBC Team USA captain has been named, and it is our very own Aaron Judge. So Judge has been named the captain of the WBC team for Team USA. What are your thoughts on this, Dave?
It's interesting because for the longest time, Mike Trout's been the face of Team USA. So to see Mike just kind of like step aside and be like, it's good, this is a good thing, like come out and support it right away, kind of blew me away. And, you know, Trout's not an old guy. And as a matter of fact, I think he's younger than Judge. If not, they're the same age or pretty damn close to it. So, yeah, it just makes me realize how much older we're getting now that Mike Trout's starting to fade into the distance a little bit. Because, you know, I remember when he first came up. And so it's definitely interesting. I'm actually surprised the Yankees are allowing him to play because they have been known for kind of blocking certain players from playing in the WBC for fear of injury. So I'm really, really surprised. I'm not surprised that Judge got selected. I'm actually surprised it didn't happen earlier than now. But the more shocking thing is that Hal and Brian are going to let him play. So,
yeah. So Trout is listed at 33 years old right now, and Judge is 32. So,
all right. So they're a year apart. Like I said, close enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, when we last saw the WBC and how incredible, you know, the atmosphere is there, it's not surprising to me to see Judge want to be a part of that. You know, during the last go round of this, it was something where he was going through his free agency and obviously, you know, flying all over the place. Like you didn't want to risk anything as you're trying to lock down a long-term deal. So it would make sense why he didn't participate the last time and why he'd be so interested this time.
Well, he had 2017 also.
Yeah.
That's before his rookie season. So
so I mean, that was his rookie year. That was, you know, coming off of the cameo in 16 where he hit 176. Like it was, you know, going into, he was battling for a job that offseason with Aaron Hicks in spring training that year. So I didn't really expect for Judge to be a part of it at that point. You know, he wasn't an established name as we now know him to be. So to me, it was last year, you know, the last go round of the WBC, but obviously with the way that things have panned out for him now, kind of taking on that mantle, you know, so one of the things that I found very interesting about this situation when Judge being named captain. They started donning him with the Captain America title, and we saw quite a few Mets fans online get kind of irate at the idea of having to call a Yankee Captain America when they like to associate that with David Wright. And not a knock on David Wright. To me, it's
no, just stop, Mets fans. Like, go dry Juan Soto's tears about him not having Aaron Judge behind him and throwing shade at Pete Alonso. I mean, no disrespect to David Wright, but I mean, David was great. It was good. But I mean, Judge is on a whole nother freaking level. Let's be perfectly honest here. Like, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are the face of MLB.
Yeah.
Like it, hate it, it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
Yeah.
As long as these two guys are playing baseball, they are the faces of Major League Baseball. Pete Alonso is not. David Wright is not. They were calling David Wright the King of New York when he was playing. When Derek Jeter was still around, and people were like, excuse me, but no, that guy's in the Bronx. So I could really care less what Mets fans have to say. They took our ex-closer and made him their ace, okay? So that's where their IQ level is.
As always, the hot takes from Dave.
I don't care.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the idea, obviously that was a fun nickname. David Wright played really well when he was on the WBC team. So I can see why they want to kind of hold on to that. Obviously, anytime you have the captain of Team USA for the WBC team, they're going to be called Captain America. I mean, they were doing the same thing for Trout. Nobody really made a stink about it in this area. Obviously, Mets fans are going to take offense to it because it is a Yankee, but I think that for baseball, this is a positive thing to have, as you said, one of the faces of the sport, headlining the team for it. That Shohei Ohtani is going to headline for Team Japan. Like, that's going to be the case. Yep. And to have had the last WBC go round where the final image is the captain of Team Japan and the captain of Team USA battling, pitcher batter matchup. And for, a fan of Team USA, you find yourself in a situation where your guy got beat. So now here we are finding
that Japan team was stacked.
It's going to be stacked this year. It's going to be stacked with Dodgers, but this is going to be an interesting go round because of having a guy like Aaron Judge and the absolute heater that he's been on for the last, several years. I think that this is a very smart move by Mark DeRosa and the team, USA coaches to put this one in the books with having Judge as the guy.
I mean, that coaching staff is full of all-stars.
Yeah, it is. That is
DeRosa, Pettit,
Brian and Matt Holliday. Yeah, I mean, that's
dude. Like, damn.
Yeah. No,
I was more impressed with the coaching staff. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see who else that Team USA gets added to that squad. We've always seen a who's who of names for Team USA. Not necessarily always the best of the best at the time. So it'll be interesting to see now with Judge as the captain of the team, what happens next, who they add next and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I think it's going to be your typical run of the mill names. You're going to have Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts are two names that jump out to me. Spencer Strider, Brady Singer, guys like that have been around. And, it's all about, who wants to really be there. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of guys that take great pride in representing their country in this competition. There are others that are just like, I'm not going to risk getting injured. Sorry, but, pass. But, with Judge, I just wonder what getting ramped up that early is going to do when he goes back to a spring training mentality once that whole tournament is over, and what the hangover effect is going to be going into the 2026 season. So that's really my only concern. I'm not saying that Judge is old or washed up or fragile by any means, but he's on the wrong side of 30. Yeah. And for someone that's in their late 30s, I know exactly what the hell that feels like. Just getting out of bed in the morning sometimes, so it can be a struggle. So, but it's cool to see for sure.
Yeah, definitely interesting. For me, as someone that roots for Team Puerto Rico, it makes it even harder now to root against Team USA
I
because
mean, Team USA 1A.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes it even harder for me to root against Team USA because it is the captain of our team as the captain of Team USA. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams shake out. I'm very curious to see who else kind of jumps on board for Team USA and to see what happens with the rest of that squad.
Real quick though, before we move on. So 2012, my wife and I had just gotten we were getting married that year. And it was Team Puerto Rico versus Team Dominican Republic. Dude, I wanted to hide under a freaking couch because she was just going bananas, just screaming at the television. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I thought I was into my baseball, but this is on another level. I'm like, hey, like,
yeah,
Yeah,
that was.
And then, this last go around when Puerto Rico played the U.S., it was like we didn't talk to each other for like a day after. I'm like, "You good? You gonna be all right?"
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, it was a fun run that year with Puerto Rico and the DR. That was.
I would love to just go to one of those games, man. Like you watch. You know what really pissed me off, right? So you watch the the Team USA play whoever the hell they were playing. It's quiet. It looked like watching a golf tournament. You see Colombia and Venezuela or whatever, insert Spanish nation here, and it was like a fucking party the entire game. It was crazy. It was like watching a soccer tournament.
Yep.
Nuts.
How it is during the Caribbean series.
Yeah.
All the winter leagues and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's exactly how it is time after time.
Like I said, I would just kill to go to just one of those games one time in my life.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how that atmosphere must be. It must be electric, even just sitting there in the stands. Like
only time Lone Depot Park sells out. So
yeah, poor Marlins. Yeah, no,
yeah, whatever. Fuck them.
So as we kind of jump into the next portion of this, one of the things that came out during this past weekend series against the San Francisco Giants was the fact that Willy Adames had a Zoom meeting with the Yankees that presumably went extremely well. Adames said, and yet the Yankees basically told him, yeah, we're kind of waiting on Juan Soto. And this would have been a guy that they would have plugged in at third base. Right now we have kind of the revolving door situation with Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza, and ultimately once he regains a foot to stand on, DJ LeMahieu presumably will be a part of that third base rotation. So it's going to be interesting for me to see how the team rebounds from this, because to me, looking at it, obviously 2020 hindsight is always, clearer than the time being, but I would have rather have gotten a guy like Willy Adames for this team than knowing what the contract was going to cost to get Soto back. I also feel like Adames was going to be a better fit for the lineup, both offensively and defensively, than what Soto provides. Because as good as offensive player Soto is and how much he helped this lineup, defensively, he made our lineup weaker. Where a guy like Adames was going to be able to be plugged in at third base and find himself in a situation where that was going to improve the defense on the left side of the infield for the Yankees even more. So I'm very curious to see how it all shakes out for this team kind of going forward with this third base market. So kind of what are your thoughts, Dave, on the idea of Adames and the fact that we didn't really make a strong push for him because of Soto?
Well, it's just like the other 2019s across the league. No one made a move until this guy signed with the Mets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that in itself kind of pisses me off. Like,
okay, like early. That's how they got it on this.
I get it, but at the same time, right? Like everyone was like, "Oh, we're waiting for Soto to sign." It's like certain players were saying they were waiting for Soto to sign. I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you in the same category statistically as Juan Soto? No, cool. Shut up and go sign somewhere, please. Like, there's only a select few that are in the same kind of category as Soto, and that's Judge, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, like Harper, Machado, like that ilk of players. So the whole fact that the whole league just stopped doing business until Juan Soto signed, with the exception of a few players here or there, just really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. We've seen this over the last 6 to 7 off seasons, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I hope to God with this next CBA that comes out that they actually put a deadline. Okay, all free agents have to sign by X date, because this whole thing of just drawing this shit out in the offseason and guys not signing until a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 weeks into spring training, and then they're getting hurt with season-ending injuries because they're trying to ramp up and catch up and, whatever else. As far as Adames goes, like, he's a great player, but like the left side of the infield is not really is not costing us games. You're not really losing anything with putting Peraza or Cabrera at third base right now. So until that starts costing us games, I don't care. They're both producing offensively. Cool. Yeah, you don't have the super sexy name at third base, but as long as they're getting the job done, effectively. But I don't think Hal is going to shell out another $200 million contract for a third baseman. He got what was it, 6 or 7 years at $178 million from the Giants?
So I think it was 6 years, 182, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Hal Steinbrenner was not dishing out, because if he had dished that out to Adames, you can kiss Max Fried goodbye. You can kiss the trade for Cody Bellinger goodbye. Those 2 events don't happen if Willy Adames signs with the Yankees. So
yeah, 7 years, 182 for Adames.
So with the way they approached it, shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of thing. Yeah, Peraza. See, he made a great play tonight again. So they have it. They have a cheap option that's effective at third base.
Yeah, so I will agree with you that defensively they haven't cost the Yankees anything. Both Cabrera and Peraza are solid defenders all around the infield, right? So for me, that part of it isn't too much. When we look at the way that they're platooning the situation, though, Peraza right now, going into tonight's game, is basically slashing 211 with a 250 on base, and he is slugging 474, so that's somewhat respectable there. And then
he's a part-time player.
Yeah. Now Cabrera has a higher batting average of 278. He's got an on base of 333, which is decent, but then a slugging of 278. So Cabrera's not hitting for any kind of power right now. So
how many games have the two of them played respectively?
So Peraza has had almost no time. So you kind of give him a little bit of a pass. He's had 7 games. Cabrera's been in 12 of them. So 12 of the
split even time.
Yeah. So, I think that if you look at what a guy like Adames could have also been in terms of the clubhouse portion of it, this is a guy that's a gamer. He comes, to play hard every single day. And I also think that this is a guy who kind of would have played up in the Bronx. We know it was spoken about during the series with the Giants that this is a guy who grew up, absolutely loving Derek Jeter and wanting to be a Yankee because of Derek. So I think that it would have been a guy that could have helped on that part of it.
Okay, cool. But did the Yankees ever offer him a contract?
Same thing with Harper.
He can't sign here if they're not offering him a contract.
Yeah. Yeah, they wanted to wait to see what Soto did.
Like I said, is it his fault? No. You don't get offered something. It's kind of hard to put ink on paper and get here.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to my point where Hal didn't want to sign the guy. He wanted Soto, and when that fell through, they went and got Fried. They went and got Bellinger. So,
yeah,
I don't know. He played great in Tampa. He played great in Milwaukee. I don't know how he's doing in San Francisco. I don't watch the Giants play, but I kind of like what we got.
He's off to a slow start, but
I kind of like what we got. So
yeah,
I'm not losing sleep over this.
It's not second guessing the moves that were made, because I agree. I love the acquisition of Max Fried. He has been an absolute gem for us this year. Cody Bellinger, I think, is going to be phenomenal here. I think they're going to sign him to a long-term deal before the year is up.
He needs to start hitting better than 187. Yeah, so there's that.
I think they'll definitely pick it up soon. I think that this is a guy who's trying to do a little too much right now to try and kind of justify why he's here and why they went out and got him. But I think ultimately, by the end of the year, I think we'll see the better version of Bellinger than what we've seen the last few weeks here. The other part of it for me too is that I also feel like with the way that this team is built right now, they're still looking, right? So there's been a lot of articles and a lot of conversation as to some options at third base the Yankees could upgrade to. So I want to toss out a couple of names from some different articles, and I want to know your thoughts on them, right? So Kerry Miller of Bleacher Report in one of the articles had suggested kind of three names that stand out to me. And it was Nolan Arenado.
Of course.
Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks.
Nope.
Yandy Diaz from the Rays.
No, he's a first baseman. Again, goes back to what I said last week. Can we stop playing dudes out of position? That's like putting Luke Voigt at third base. Like, really? No.
Yeah.
That's the hot corner, man. Like, you got to put someone that's mobile, that's not yoked like a fucking linebacker. Just hell no. Like, just no. Those are not good options. I'm sorry.
So Yandy came up as a third baseman, but wasn't very good defensively, which is why the Rays moved him to first. Yeah. That to me is his best defensive position. I really wouldn't want to go get him to play third base. No. The other name that I don't think is even remotely possible is Eugenio Suarez. When you look at what the Diamondbacks are doing, they're in the thick of it, and they're going to be all year. They're not
let him go.
Absolutely not. Like, they're not going to get rid of their third baseman. It's not happening. So that to me is why I found that to be the most interesting name that was mentioned in the Bleacher Report article, because it's like when you really think about what the Diamondbacks are doing right now, they're in the toughest.
They're playing for a wild card.
Exactly. Like, they were just in the World Series 2 years ago. They're not letting Suarez go. Like, it's not happening. So to me, that inclusion was hilarious to listen to.
And with Arenado, the Cardinals aren't trading him because they still need to sell tickets and put butts in the seats. So
no, I think he gets moved, but I just don't think the Yankees are going to do it.
No.
Yeah, I think if the Yankees wanted Nolan Arenado, they would have already got
it. It would have happened already. Absolutely.
All off season long, we kept hearing about Arenado and the Yankees and this, that, and the third, and it didn't happen. So I don't see it happening if it hadn't already, right? Because I don't see the Cardinals eating enough of that to make the Yankees interested. And in the Cardinals eating a ton of money means you got to give better prospects. And I don't see the Yankees wanting to do that either.
I mean, they could. I mean, they have prospects they could trade for sure, but they're not all gonna fit everywhere. I mean, you still got to make a decision of if Anthony Volpe is your shortstop of the future, or if it's Roderick Arias, or if it's George Lombard. One of those guys one of them's getting traded, one of them's playing third base, because I guarantee you, the Yankees are gonna die on this hill with Anthony Volpe being their shortstop, no matter what. And then you got to make a decision when it comes down to either Spencer Jones or Brandon Maeda.
Yeah.
So, and especially if they grab Wandy Asijan this international signing period come January of 2026.
Yeah.
So they got decisions they got to make on a few guys. Granted, a lot of these names that I've mentioned, they're still on their rookie deals. Jones is aging because he went to Vanderbilt. So they got to make a decision on him relatively soon. But yeah, the Cardinals would have to eat at least 85% of that contract to even get Hal Steinbrenner to even engage in conversation.
Yeah. No,
and I don't see Mozeliak doing that at all whatsoever. So, yeah.
Like I said, I think that if the Yankees were really interested in Arenado, it already would have happened. And the fact that it hasn't, to me, that's not going to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you a name that is even more hilarious. And this was in an article in The Athletic by Brandon Cuddy.
You're just trying to get me to go on this long rant, aren't you? You're just
we got to get to this. Right? So, Brandon Cuddy of The Athletic posted in his article about some potential third base options. Austin Riley of the Braves.
That ain't happening. What are you, dude?
I know. Yeah. When I read that, it absolutely floored me. Like,
first of all, they just signed him to a long-term contract 2 years ago after they won the World Series.
Yeah.
So
friendly deal. Given a guy of his capabilities, that's a very team-friendly deal. And I can see
it's not happening. No,
it's not happening. But I can see the idea of why the Yankees would want a guy like Austin Riley.
I get it, but the last time the Yankees and the Braves made a trade, it was Melky Cabrera for Javier Vasquez, and we all know how that ended up for both parties. And
I think Melky did fine for them.
Yeah, but I was like, really? Like the first time with Vasquez wasn't enough. You had to go and do it, 5 years later? Expecting a different result?
All right, so actually, Melky did not work out well for them either.
I believe he got suspended for PEDs while he was in Atlanta. Or was when that was even when he was in San Fran?
I think that was when he was in San Francisco. Okay. Yeah, that was his lone All-Star year was in San Francisco, so that had to be the
weird. Yeah, he batted like 345. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Ha ha. The San Fran special. But yeah, the Braves are not trading Austin Riley.
Not at all.
That is just, Braves fans will have a fit.
Oh, absolutely have a fit.
They will riot in the streets.
Yeah, rightfully so.
I have so many friends of mine in North Florida that are Braves fans. I would be consoling them and charging for therapy sessions if Austin Riley was traded to the Yankees. Okay.
Yeah, no, I found that to be absolutely hilarious. That would be the name tossed in there. Now, to Cuddy's credit, the points that he was making was very interesting points, right? So he was basically saying, and I don't remember the word for word, but he was essentially saying that with the Braves finding themselves kind of struggling the way that they have over the last season plus with health and injuries and stuff like that, that they would like to potentially recruit some younger assets. And they're going to have some, question marks with Acuna Jr. being able to be healthy long-term. A guy like Spencer Jones getting moved in that deal could entice them. So different things like that is where I find it kind of funny. But I think that the likelihood of getting Austin Riley is even less than Suarez, which is less than 0. I'd put it at if I had to put a number on it.
Yeah, because dude.
So for me, I have one name that I want to run by you, and I think that you're going to be on board with this name more than any other that has been named prior to this. Okay. The guy that I think that's going to be playing third base for the Yankees long term, George Lombard Jr.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think that's going to be
jumping on this for a while now. So
you've been a big proponent for Lombard Jr., but I think that it's the name that makes the most sense. I think that when you look at the way that this front office has been managing things, when you look at the way that this team is going with the depth and the youth that they've been going with, it's the guy that makes the most sense. And what we saw from Lombard Jr. in spring training,
next level.
Yeah, if you didn't see him prior to this spring training, it was eye-opening. Like, so this guy that was hitting bombs the level of Judge, like Judgy and home runs in spring training.
So this year, in 9 games at High A Hudson Valley, 9 games, 30 at-bats, 10 hits. One of them's a triple, one's a home run, 5 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, only caught once, 8 walks to 9 strikeouts. So, not terrible. Slashing .333, .475, .500, and .975 in 9 games at High A. Would have to say he's probably in Somerset by June.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And if he excels there, probably gets bumped to AAA.
Yeah, he'll be on the fast track.
You might see a situation with, I don't think he hits the majors this year. I think something catastrophic would have to happen injury-wise at the big league level for them to pull the trigger on him early, or he just outperforms and they have no choice. Like if he pulls a Jasson Dominguez where he's hitting 475 in 8 games at AAA, they might not have a choice. But I do think he could be A-Rod 2.0.
I agree, especially watching him this spring. To me, that's the guy that I want to see long-term in the Bronx, manning the hot corner. And I think having the infield that we would have with
sick, especially if they sign Jazz to a long-term deal.
Yes, exactly.
The only question mark is who you're going to have playing first base. And I've always said that, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think TJ Rumsfeld is the favorite to take over. Or they might just bring Goldschmidt back if he, 1A, wants to, and 2, performs and stays healthy. So
yeah, I think we can see a year-to-year situation with Goldschmidt and the Yankees.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a guy who they like in the clubhouse. This is a guy who is a Gold Glove caliber fielder. And, a guy who, as we've seen so far, looking like he's back to MVP caliber form in terms of as a hitter as well. So I think the Yankees will go year to year with him, similar to what they were probably planning to do with Rizzo before the injury happened. So, if Rumsfeld doesn't force his way in, I can see them going year to year with Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Let's just see how good old TJ's doing. So, in case anybody doesn't know, TJ Rumsfeld was the 12th round draft pick in the 2021 draft. I believe he's in the top 30 prospects. So far this year, in 15 games at AAA Scranton, he's got 6 doubles, 3 home runs, caught stealing once, 10 walks to 7 strikeouts, slashing 315, 439, 593, and 1,032. So, if he keeps this up, you might see him manning first base in 2026. So
very much a possibility. So now we'll kind of wrap this particular section up with recapping the weekend series and the first 2 games of this Royals series. So right now, if you're watching live with us, the Yankees and Royals are tied up 3-3 in the bottom of the 6th with 1 on and 1 out. But in looking back at the series against the Giants, the Yankees dropped 2 of 3 offensively, and this is it's a
first game. Man, was just you and I were texting back and forth like this can't be happening, right? Like what is this BS?
Yeah. So and it's funny because when you look at and I'm gonna read off some numbers here real quick, but when you look at what it was between the 3-game set of the Giants series and the first 2 games of this Royal series, it's almost like 2 different teams. So in the Giants series, the Yankees offensively scored 13 runs on 19 hits. Defensively, they had 2 errors. They struck out 26 times, had 2 stolen bases, 13 walks. They left 20 men on base and went 7 for 21, which is a .333 batting average with runners in scoring position. So that's like the only highlight of it is that they were somewhat productive, and that most of that came in the Saturday game.
Yeah.
Pitching wise in that series, the Yankees gave up 18 runs, 15 of which were earned, 16 hits, 4 home runs. They walked 22 batters in that series. And they did strike out 33. So that part is good. But
oh wow, yeah.
Walking 22 batters on top of 16 hits is far too many base runners.
Trash.
Now, in contrast, the first 2 games of the Royal Series, the Yankees won the first 2 games. They scored 8 runs offensively, 15 hits, no errors, 15 strikeouts, a stolen base, 8 walks, 15 men left on base. So that's still far too high. And in the 2 games that they've won against the Royals, the Yankees have gone 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position and 0.83 batting average.
Yeah, no bueno.
So even though they've won these last 2 games, it's really come on clutch hitting in terms of home run balls in the first game and a big time double and a walk in the game 2. And right now, like I said, it's 3-3 in the bottom of the 6th inning in game 3. So, Dave, obviously we had some thoughts on the Giant series, and just kind of expand on what your feelings are right now. And we'll get into the roster situation with the starter from Friday in just a moment. But as far as how the series kind of went down and reflected to you, thinking back on it now, what are your thoughts on it?
You would have thought to God they were playing the 2002 San Francisco Giants over that series, because Marcus Stroman and his 2.25 ERA ain't winning you games. And I hope to God that is the last game we watch this man pitch in Yankee Stadium. Like, he should have been DFA'd after the game. Not, we're putting him on the IL with a knee injury. Yeah, sure. What knee injury? When the whole team decided to take a swing at his kneecaps in the clubhouse with a baseball bat? That knee injury? Because I'm pretty sure his teammates weren't too freaking thrilled with that performance.
Yeah, there's no way.
It was like a case of the body snatchers, man. Like, that scene in Space Jam where, like, all their talent gets stolen. Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. I mean, hats off to the Giants. They came in here and kicked ass and took care of business. Like, I didn't even think they were remotely that good on paper, but apparently they told me to kick rocks and eat it. You kind of can't be batting 0.83 with men in scoring position. That's kind of not going to win you ball games. But, people can tell me RBIs and batting average can go to hell because it's all about on-base percentage. Yeah, how did that work out? Not too great, right? It was trash. Like I said, thankfully, it's still April. It's still early, so I'm not going to put much stock in it other than the fact that Marcus Stroman, Mr. I'm a starter, needs to be put in witness protection for his own safety and well-being from Yankees fans, because that was absolutely this. Like, I literally calculated his ERA because I was kind of curious, and 8 runs over 2/3 of an inning. That's a 2.25 ERA. 225 ERA was what he left the game with. Everybody. Yeah, let that sink in. That's not how you win ball games. It ain't going to work out for you, dog.
Yeah. For the season, in his, 9 innings of work? Yeah, 9.1 innings of work. Stroman has an ERA of 11.57.
Yeah, that is absolutely disgusting, and he needs to go.
It's his slash line against is Hall of Fame level. 300 average, 404 on base, and a 575 slugging.
Yeah, stupid. He was throwing 85-mile-an-hour fastballs. And his shit was 2 feet off the plate, and he's throwing his arms up to the umpire like, throw strikes. Just throw strikes. That's all you got to do. That's what they pay you to do. Throw strikes. Yeah, couldn't even do that.
A rough outing for sure. So let's get into the roll call so we can talk about it.
Can we get the roll call? Aaron Judge! Yankee baseball! Yankee baseball!
All right. So obviously Marcus Stroman has been put on the IL for the injury that they've referenced, knee inflammation. So it to me is interesting that this is, quote unquote, knee inflammation, and that he received a cortisone shot in his knee.
Yeah, bet he did.
Yeah. I mean, even if he didn't, I think that there was a lot of I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt going into the year. I really wanted him to have a good year. Obviously because we needed him. The fact is that this team went in with a whole different set in terms of a starting rotation than what we actually started on March 27th with. So, pulling for Stroman to have a good year was for the benefit of our team. So far has not been the case. And like you said, thinking that this is the last we've seen of him, I'm not sure that it will be. Simply
I think it is.
Well, I mean, if Clark Schmidt, who pitched fairly well tonight,
Yes.
5 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and looked like he was obviously working his way back. First start off the IL, first start of the year. Obviously having some jitters pitching in Yankee Stadium, but for your first game of the year, this is a guy who's going to be extremely important as to whether or not we are going to have to see more of Marcus Stroman on the mound for the Yankees.
I actually trust Cookie Carrasco more right now than Marcus Stroman. And that's saying a whole hell of a lot. I'm sorry, I do not feel confident in his ability to give us quality starts. His start before this, he went, 4 2/3? Was losing the game. They came back and won it. I don't have confidence in this guy. I don't have confidence in this guy. I don't. Yeah, it was a great story when they first signed him. I'm like, okay, all right, maybe he still got something left. But, when he was pitching with the Cubs the year before, like, they started questioning his ability to win ball games come June, because that's when the injuries started, the hip issue, this, that, the other thing. And I don't see it. I really don't.
I think the biggest struggle for me with Marcus Stroman is we know that he doesn't have an overpowering fastball, right? And like you said, he was throwing 85. And maybe that was something that the knee was bothering him. He couldn't land. He couldn't drive with any kind of power. Cool. We also saw Bartolo Colon pitch for this team at the end of his career when he was throwing 85 miles an hour. But the run in the sink on his fastball allowed him to be successful. Bartolo's still pitching in the Dominican somewhere. Like, they could go sign him right now and give us similar
Please
production.
Please don't.
Give us similar production to what we've seen from Stroman. So to me, that's the part of it that I struggle with the most, right? Because obviously, when you have guys that are of a shorter stature, right? This was always the conversation around Pedro Martinez leading into his run of dominance was he's too small. Like, he can't do it. Like, he can't hold up. But we've seen it happen where these guys can do it. I think that this is a guy who, for me, he gets into his head too much. And he starts trying to fight all these battles with fans, with, commentators. We know the beef that he's had with Michael Kay.
Well, then just keep your mouth shut and just go out and pitch every 5th day and not get involved in these extracurricular activities. Like this spring training, when they were like, oh, I'm a starter. Dude, just shut up and just do whatever your manager tells you to do.
Yeah.
Be a team player and shut up.
Yeah. I think that's the part that's the biggest struggle for me. It's like, you're a part of this team. You were, contracted to be a part of this team. Do what's best for the team. I mean, you see the best player in the world right now, Aaron Judge. He went and played center field for an entire year, playing out of position, as you said, for an entire season because it was the best for the team.
Out of position-ish. It's his natural position. They just stuck his ass in right field because of Gardner playing center.
I mean, I think that I think Judge's best position is right field defensively.
I don't know. I kind of like the center field. Just saying.
But when you,
I'm one of those crazy guys that I like seeing him in center field. I don't know why. Like
it's the wear and tear for me of him playing center field was
No, I get it.
too much.
I get it.
So for me, that you need to have him kind of hidden and sheltered in a corner, right? Because I think back, and Paul O'Neill talks about this all the time on the broadcast, that he loved having Bernie in the center. He could man a 2x2 foot box out in right field, and Bernie would go get everything else. And that's really what I would like from the Bronx, right? Having this team now, you have Judge cover a 2x2 foot square in right field, and you let your center fielder go get everything else. That's why, like, I know it bothers you to no end that Dominguez gets pulled so frequently, but I don't mind Trent Grisham being the guy running around out there and grabbing everything so Judge doesn't have to.
I mean, he hasn't been bad for $5 million.
So yeah, he's been
playing out of his mind offensively and defensively. He's always been good. So I mean, shit.
So for me, that's the part of it that I prefer Judge and right just to save wear and tear on his body. Can he play center? Of course. We've seen it. He could have won a Gold Glove out there last year. Obviously, everybody's just going to remember that terrible, mind-numbing fifth inning in the World Series. But if you look back to his regular season, this guy is a Gold Glove caliber outfielder for sure. So I think that being able to have a team player in your captain, the rest of the team needs to follow suit. And I think for me, that's the part that I struggle right now with Stroman the most, is that he doesn't feel, and obviously there's the other side of it, right? He knows there's no loyalty from this Yankees front office to him at all. They see him as, we brought you in because we needed somebody when there was nobody else out there. And as soon as we can get rid of you, we're getting rid of you. So I can see why he was trying to kind of hold his own in terms of the narrative of being a reliever, because once he gets stuck in that mode, he's not coming out of that mode. So I get why he would be, so adamant about being a starter. Same thing with Gleyber Torres last year, adamant about being a second baseman, because as soon as you move off that, you're not getting it back. You're not. So to me, that's where, I see the other side of it for him. But as you see this team go right now, you got to do what's best for the team if you actually want to win.
Yeah, and he had a bad attitude towards the middle of the year last year where Judge had to pull him aside and be like, yo, check yourself and shut up. He had to do it with him. He had to do it with Gleyber. And, yeah, like, just when you play for this team, you just come correct and just shut up and play baseball. Like, that's all you got to do. That's what they pay you to do.
And speaking of Judge, he just hit a home run. So
I'm on a delay. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Spoiler.
Thanks.
So we got a question here.
Yep, and there it goes. Yeah, thanks.
How much
He's
is
getting
that?
paid $40 million a year.
40 per. All right. So as we kind of look towards the other part of this roll call section, we have our weekly 3 up, 3 down, where we kind of go through 3 players that are playing well, 3 that aren't, and 1 to be on the lookout for. And we start with the captain. The first up this week is Aaron Judge. Over the last week of baseball, and this is not including tonight, Judge has a slash line of 474, 615, 526, 9 hits, 2 RBIs, 4 runs scored, and 6 walks. Definitely the kind of guy you want leading the way. And even tonight, he's added another 3 hits, an RBI now with the home run and a walk as well. So Judge has been doing his thing. Now, on the opposite side of that, though, is the guy manning center field right next to him, and Cody Bellinger. Bellinger, again, prior to this game tonight, batting 100, on base of 182, and a slugging of 200.
He was doing great until he had those fucking chicken wings, man.
Yeah, the cold got to him, got to his back, and the chicken wings did the rest of the work.
Yeah.
So the second up on this list this week is Ben Rice. Rice is slashing 263, 364, 737 slugging percentage. He's got 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 5 hits, 4 runs scored, and struck out just 5 times.
I'm wondering if he could play third.
I think if he could have played third, they would have already attempted that. So remember, this is a guy who is picking up first base on the fly because he's really a catcher. So,
well, yeah, I mean, he did that last year. So, I mean, I consider him a first baseman. Like, you've already been baptized by fire last year. You went back to the minor leagues to fine tune whatever. And it kind of makes me sad that he's doing so well because once Giancarlo comes back,
I don't know, bro. I think that they're going to try and figure out a way. And, we talked about
back to Scranton. I mean,
well, we talked about Goldschmidt earlier and, maybe going year to year with him. If Rice keeps this up, this might be the guy that takes over first base.
He's okay at first. I got to see a lot more before I'm convinced that he's a converted first baseman.
Yeah, but we've seen Luke Voigt play first base for us. So if you can hit.
Where else are you going to put Luke other than being a first baseman? The guy's a lumberjack that probably kills moose with his bare hands and drinks the blood or whatever, like crazy stuff they do in Missouri. I have no idea. But I mean,
we're going to get so much backlash from that one.
I mean, where else are you going to put Voigt? You can't put Voigt in center field, bro.
No, absolutely not. No.
You can't put Luke at third base.
It's first base or DH. I get it. Yeah. But
I mean, trying to be graphic with it, but the guy is just a freak of nature. Like,
no doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
Just sucks he's out of baseball now, man, because it was such a feel-good story. I feel bad for him.
Voigt was a fun guy to have around.
Absolutely.
As we get into the second down, it is the shortstop, Anthony Volpe. Volpe's slash line over the last week is a 125 batting average, a 125 slugging percentage. Now, the one little bright spot with Volpe is that he does have a 318 on base percentage. So to have a batting average that low and an on base percentage 200 points higher is a positive sign. But he's got 7 strikeouts and 5 walks. So we can cut down on the strikeouts, put the ball in play a little bit more with this torpedo bat of his, and the walks.
He's just hitting it at people. That's always and he's always been a slow. Like the last 2 seasons, he's been like obviously his rookie year, slow start. Last year, slow start. Picked it up towards late May, early June. Same thing. I mean, the fact that he's not striking out a whole hell of a lot. His walks and strikeouts pretty much even at half, and he's just hitting it at people. I mean, you saw it tonight. He almost hit a 3-run home run, turned into a 2-run double. So, he's not doing terrible. It's just him. Yeah. It's just who he is. He's a slow starter. Yeah,
if we can get a little more out of that little more angle on that bat, might put a dent in it a little bit further. So, the third up is Max Fried. Obviously, what we've seen from him has been incredible. Over the last week, a 1.32 ERA, 2 earned runs, 18 strikeouts in just 13 2/3 innings with a 34% strikeout rate. This guy has been, without Max Fried, with the loss of Garrett Cole, it was huge. But having Max Fried now kind of lessens that blow a little bit. And again, like we said last week, man, just imagining what that rotation could have been.
Just seeing it in October, dude. Like, you want to talk about like ruining a team's psychological edge, that would have done it.
Yeah. And you think about not only that, but you could have added in the rookie of the year from last year to that as well. That would have been a nasty 3-headed monster right there.
Yeah.
Now, on the opposite side of that, the third down is Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, he needs to figure it out, man.
Yeah, Rodon over the last week, 6.35 ERA. He's given up 4 earned runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks, but he does have 8 strikeouts to his name.
Okay, cool. Congratulations. But you're still giving up a lot of runs, my guy.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is in the positive aspect of this is looking at his game on Sunday against the Giants, there was 2 bad pitches. Mm-hmm. Both happened to be to Jung-Hoo Lee, and both happened to go out of the ballpark. But if we can start to get him to where that 1 or 2 instances where things don't go his way, right, where there's an error or a bad call, and he doesn't start compounding the issue by walking guys.
He gets mad. He pitches with emotion. That's his problem.
Well, but that's also his benefit, bro. Like that's his angry fastball is what got him the contract with the Yankees. But at the same time, when he lets that anger take over and misdirects it, that's when we start to see the walks. When he tries to be too fine with that to me is where the problem comes in. And then as we saw with the second home run, the 3-run home run to Jung Hoo Lee, using and not relying on your best stuff. Like he got beat on that curveball, which is probably his 5th pitch, to be honest, like 4th or 5th pitch. Instead of going with the fastball or the slider, because he got beat on the first home run with slider, or even the changeup, like this guy went to his curveball and left it hanging, and Jung Hoo Lee did the rest of the work. But I think that for Rodon, if he can, as you said, manage those emotions a little better, I think that we can find ourselves in a situation where this guy comes out to be the guy who we signed him to be, which at the time was our number 2. So if we can kind of get him back to that form, it'll be on the up and up for us. And as we close out this section, the guy to be on the lookout for is a guy you mentioned as being someone you're paying attention to, Cookie Carrasco. Carrasco has a 1.80 ERA, 1 earned run, 4 Ks in 5 innings in his most recent start, and a 22.2% strikeout percentage. So if we can see more of this Carlos Carrasco than what it was a week ago, this could be a very big addition to this team for us.
Yep.
All right. Now let's check out the captain's corner.
Swung on that. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a Judgian blast. Now the pitch is swung on. A high fly to deep right center. It's gone. Derek Jeter hit one over the Modell sign in right center. All rise. Here comes El Capitan. He homers.
Take a look here at Aaron Judge. Again, this was as of last night's game coming to its conclusion. Aaron Judge is slashing 381, 494, 730 for the year. He had 6 home runs and 20 RBIs, which tied him for second in both of those categories. Judge is on an otherworldly streak right now over the last 5-6 years, and I think that he's only getting better. So it's going to be interesting to me to see where he kind of shakes out the end of this year. They said it on the broadcast tonight. He had gone 10 games leading into tonight without a home run. We know that already ended as of the time that we're on this stream here. He did get his 7th home run in this game tonight. So, Dave, I said it in our bold predictions episode that I think Judge is getting 80 this year and beating Bonds' record. You didn't quite believe that.
I still
listen until I'm mathematically
get off that. You need to get off that yak you're sipping on because it's damaging your brain.
Listen, until I'm mathematically proven wrong, I will continue to spout that.
They are not going to let Judge. You know what's going to happen before he hits 80 home runs? He will be walked every single at bat to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, he's going to get the Bonds treatment. But here's the thing. Just like Bonds, you get one pitch. He just can't miss it. That's the only part of it.
Well, whatever. The league will conspire against him. Umpires will be in cahoots with each other. They'll start calling strike 3 at his shoelaces like they've been doing for the last 7 years that he's been in the league. Well, 8 years, technically. But he's not getting 80, bro. He's just –
we'll see.
He will burn out in fatigue before he hits 80 home runs.
Listen, I had to get bold with it, and I'm going to stick by it.
No, like I said in the beginning, there's bold and then there's batshit crazy. You're on team batshit crazy.
All right, so as we do with this Captain's Corner section, we take a look back at 3 captains from the previous eras and what they did on this particular day. Derek Jeter back in 2006, batting second. Went 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored against the Minnesota Twins. The Yankees would go on to win that game 9-3. Don Mattingly back in 1985, batting third, went 1 for 5 with a run scored against the Chicago White Sox. The Yankees won 5-4. And Thurman Munson in 1978, Batting third, went 1-for-4 with a double against the Chicago White Sox, and the Yankees won that contest 3-0. So this has been the captain's corner.
Nothing for Judge, huh?
Nah, listen. Well, we focus on Judge at the beginning of it, so what he's doing now. So we'll bring up the stats for some of the other captains. So now as we kind of take a look around the AL East, today we're going to spotlight the Baltimore Orioles. And there was an article in Bleacher Report about kind of 10 early storylines. And one of the things that was mentioned and the headline for the section about Baltimore was you can already feel the Orioles window closing. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Dave. The Orioles fell from 101 wins in 2023 to 91 wins a year ago. And at the time that we started this, they were 6-10 on the year, last place in the American League East, and third from last in the American League, with just the Minnesota Twins and Chicago White Sox worse than them at 6-12 and 4-12 respectively. What are you thinking as you look at the Orioles this year so far and where they stand? Is their window closing?
I don't think it's closing. I just think like they lost Anthony Santander. That was a big part of their offense.
Yep.
And that team still has a lot of talent in the minor leagues that has yet to be, discovered. Grayson Rodriguez is still a young starter. Yeah. Adley Rutschman really is the quote unquote old guy on the team.
Yeah.
And he's only been in the league 3-4 years. Still, you got Jordan Westberg, you got Jackson Holiday that, still hasn't come into his full potential yet.
Agreed.
You still got Sam Basallo, who's their top catching prospect that still has yet to hit AAA, I believe.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, the American League East is stacked.
It's a beast.
It has been stacked for as long as we can remember.
Yeah.
Them being 6-12, it's like I said last week, people, it is April. Early. Let's not go jumping off our structure of choice just yet. They're still, I'm pretty sure they got key guys that are injured. Bautista is one of those guys that's still coming back from injury, I believe.
Yeah.
And,
so far, but yeah, he's still.
Zach Eflin needs to get his shit together. He's on
the IL.
Well, so much for that. Kind of can't get your shit together if you're injured. But yeah, I mean, they got a veteran backup catcher in Gary Sanchez, who I think will be great for the young pitchers coming up.
Yeah.
And I don't think their window is closing. I just think they got to find ways to retool and reload. Like Brendan Hyde's not a horrible manager.
Not at all.
He's pretty damn good. But like I said, when you got to play the Rays, the Red Sox, the Yankees, like that's not, and the Blue Jays, that's not an easy task.
Not at all. Yeah. In the article, though, what I found interesting as to the reasons why they're saying that it could be closing. Obviously, it was never said as definitive, but it just kind of left it up to the imagination, was the fact that they have not yet extended Adley Rutschman or Gunnar Henderson, both of which.
For crying out loud. Really? They're still on their rookie deal. So this is all right. So just stop, people. Why is a team going to void out a league minimum contract of $755,000 a year? The Orioles have not been known to dish out huge contracts. The last huge contract I remember them dishing out is when they signed Miguel Tejada to a 5-year deal. I think worth maybe $35 million.
Yeah, the one after that, the biggest one. And
Chris Davis. Yeah, I forgot about him.
161. Yeah,
he fell off a cliff after they took his Adderall from him. Yeah. So that's what happened there. But yeah, I mean, outside they're not known for signing long-term deals. I thought that was going to change when Cal Ripken Jr. became part of the ownership group. That hasn't happened quite yet.
Not yet.
But I don't think their window is closed. They just got to find a way to recruit players, bring up their young talent, which they have been doing over the last couple of seasons. And like I said, it's April. A lot can happen between now and September.
Oh, yeah. So to me, that's the weakest point that the article made. Now, the other point that it made and the other 2 points that it made that I really was kind of looking at more importantly, right, is they let Corbin Burns walk and they did nothing to replace him, right? This was a good young Baltimore team, and bringing in Charlie Morton and Tomoyuki Sugano isn't, to me, what you need to headline your rotation, right? So right now,
they also let Kyle Gibson walk too.
Yeah, right. Well, he's still sitting out there, but either way. Charlie Morton and Dean Kremer are kind of their 1 and 2 punch right now, right? Both have ERAs that are over 8. Eflin, who was their main guy, he was their opening day starter. He is now injured, on the injured list. You're not sure when you're going to get him back. Offensively, they only have 2 players that are hitting, have an OPS over 800. Cedric Mullins, who's been having a tremendous start to his year, who has an OPS of 1.055, and Tyler O'Neill, who has an OPS of 829. They also find themselves, and this was the other point that they had in the article, the pitching staff is 5th worst in terms of ERA at 4.66. Again, like you said, it's early. It's one of these things where those numbers can get skewed from a couple of blowout games, but it is something that I think is more concerning because of the fact that they did not address the loss of Corbin Burns. When you have an ace like Burns to headline your rotation, to start that rotation, we had done a video on the channel about a baseball ace in Zach Wheeler for the Phillies, right? And, one of the points that was made in that video is the fact that a baseball ace is the guy you're sticking out there for game 1 of the World Series. The guy that's out there to clinch your season, to push you into the playoffs, that guy. And I don't think Baltimore has that. So that to me is the more concerning part. I think that when it comes to the extension portion, to me, that I felt like that was just kind of a filler piece for the article. But I think that to me is the bigger part of not having that ace. And obviously they expected Grayson Rodriguez to be that guy, but he's hurt and he's constantly hurt. So I think for me, that's what the Orioles would need to address if they're going to try to find themselves back atop this division.
So here's a funny thing. We were just talking about Kyle Gibson. Orioles apparently signed him to a contract, and he's in the minors right now, getting built up.
Nice.
Looking at their roster right now. So Kyle Bradish, 60-day IL.
Yep.
Zach Eflin, 15-day IL. Andrew Kittredge, 15-day IL. Chance McDermott, 15 IL. Cody Poteet, who has latched on with the Orioles, who pitched relatively well for the Yankees last season before they traded him for Bellinger. He's in the minor leagues for them right now. Grayson Rodriguez is on the IL. Trevor Rogers is on the IL. Albert Suarez on the IL. Tyler Wells on the IL. So they got one starter from last year who's still in the minor leagues building up. And then you got 2 key guys that were in their rotation last year that are on the IL. And apparently they've cut ties with John Means, who was signed to a massive contract before he blew his elbow out with Tommy John.
Yeah, he's pitching with the Guardians organization.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got a lot of key pitchers like that. I mean, like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to win games when you got
all of those names that you mentioned? Unless Grayson Rodriguez turns out to be the guy that they thought and expected him to be, which I'm not 100% sold on, they didn't do anything to replace the guy who was a clear ace in Corbin Burns last year.
Hey, that's a them problem.
Yeah.
I mean, really, how many guys are beating down the door to go play for the Baltimore Orioles? I mean, the last time guys were kicking down the door to go play in Baltimore was in the mid-90s when they ran the AL East before the Yankees dethroned them in 96. I mean, from 96 to 99, guys were pretty much kicking down the door to go play for either them or the Yankees.
Yeah.
Or the Red Sox towards the beginning of the 2000s.
Yeah. No, I think that it's, to me, that's the bigger concern if I was an Orioles fan, the lack of a true number one, as we call it in the baseball world. But I think that it's going to be that organization to me is going to be built on their position player strength, similar to what we saw with the Cubs in 2016. It was built around position players, and you add veteran starters whenever you get the chance. So it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of what they go with in terms of their future.
I kind of like that.
Ground ball.
Like I was saying, I kind of like them not being a powerhouse because they were a pain in the ass.
Yes, they were. All right, let's take it around the horn here.
Ground ball. Alex Rodriguez steps on second. Go to second for one. On to first. It's the around the horn triple play.
So as we look around, there was a post that went out on social media, and it kind of caught my eye. And we've been mentioning it here previously that it seems as if MLB is heading toward a lockout with this new CBA negotiation next year.
Christ.
And one of the things that was being privately, quote unquote, mentioned amongst owners and teams is contemplating a salary cap in Major League Baseball. So I wanted to get your thoughts on a salary cap and a salary floor for baseball, Dave.
Salary floor needs to happen. There are way too many small market teams that need to be, their owners need to be forced to spend money. I'm talking about the Pirates, the Reds, the Rays, Athletics, Royals, like you name anybody else that's not the Dodgers, Phillies, Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays. And they need to be forced to spend money. Almost all 30 major league owners are billionaires. And they're using their fan base and these teams as a tax write-off. And that is absolutely disgusting. It is not fair to them. I don't know what it's like being a fan of any other team in Major League Baseball that's not a powerhouse going into the spring training, knowing that your team has no shot in hell of doing anything. And yet these fans still blindly follow their team every single year. Like you got, like good example, the Pirates have arguably one of probably the best pitchers of our generation right now. And to think that they're just going to let him either get traded or walk away when it comes time for him to get paid is absolutely ridiculous. And there's already a salary cap. Like, what the hell do you think this 4-level luxury tax tier is? Yeah. It's a deterrent from teams spending money.
But
it's already
seen it not teams. So we've already seen it, with guys like Steve Cohen with the Mets and the Guggenheim ownership group in LA. We've seen them not care about this spending limit because it's not a hard cap. Like it's not something that they feel is, the penalty isn't harsh enough, I should say, to stop them from doing it. So I wonder if they go into this, try to implement this, how much the Players Association is going to fight back on this.
They are going to fight it. What I would like the league to really spend their time on is working out how to close this loophole with this deferred money bullshit. Because that's what's really going to hurt this league. It really is. You got a team like the Dodgers, and I know I'm going to sound like a crying little you-know-what for mentioning this, but they literally went out and signed every single freaking free agent there is and have deferred about everything. There's no reason why Mookie Betts at 53 years old should simply be getting paid $28 million.
Well, I mean, the same can be said about the fact that we have every July 1st Bobby Bonilla Day from the Mets.
Listen, that's $1.25 million. Really? That's a little bit different than $28 million.
I guess we could just call it inflation, right?
Call it whatever the hell you want. It's whatever.
Yeah. No, I think that is going to be something that gets discussed heavily in this new round of CBA negotiations. I'm not a fan of the idea of a salary cap, and I'll tell you why. when it comes to what makes us different than other sports, what makes baseball different is the fact that we don't have this cap, right? And I think that there are some positives and negatives to that when it comes to the fact of we can see a contract like Juan Soto's at 765. And the biggest part of it is, like you said, owners spending the money. And I think that's the bigger downside to this. And I know when you institute a salary floor, it forces a cap at the top. And the ones that get hurt with the cap will be us as Yankee fans. Because as we saw with the A's this past offseason, they only spent what they spent to not have the Players Association file a lawsuit against them. And if we institute a salary floor in the CBA, that's all that's going to happen. All those, low spending clubs are only going to spend the minimum. And most of what they're going to do is, like we saw with Severino, they're going to give out a giant contract, quote unquote, giant contract to one or two guys just to force that number over the limit. And they're still going to sit there and pocket 90% of the revenue that they own. That to me is the bigger part of it. I think that if they're going to do anything about a salary cap or salary floor, that it has to come on the percentage of revenue, not the overall dollars. That to me is a bigger impact.
The only sport that should be crying about this is the NHL. Those guys get paid at maximum $8 to $9 million a year to get their bodies smacked around on the ice. Like, that's really the league that needs to be bitching and complaining about not being paid is the NHL. But I think that the owners are seeing the players get richer than them, and they're like, oh, we can't have this. This isn't right. And, I don't know why they're going down this road. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
My biggest fear as a baseball fan is the fact that if we do have another lockout and
it's not going to survive,
the sport won't survive. Exactly. I mean, the lockout of 94, to me, the only reason, wow, Cody Bellinger just made an incredible catch. Watch that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
I'm giving you a heads up. But to me, the only reason baseball came back after the 94 lockout was two things. Cal
Steroids.
Well, that was part number two. But Cal Ripken Jr. chasing Lou Gehrig's games played streak and the home run race of 98. To me, that was the only things that saved the sport and brought it back, because fans were angry at both owners and the players, So for me, I think that if we find ourselves in another situation where there's a real lockout, we're the ones that are going to pay the price.
Yeah. I mean, 2021 was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was a scary time for a baseball fan.
Yeah.
So we're about to walk this off, y'all.
Jeter hits it into right. Back at the wall. Game over. As Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
2. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left field. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a game-winning walk-off 3-run home run by Aaron Judge.
That one's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win. Judge hit 60, and the Yankees win in walk-off fashion.
This is going to sound unpopular to say, but I wish Aaron Boone could have hit that home run off of somebody else other than Wakefield, just because he was just a likable, respectable, class act type of dude.
I don't think that's an unfair statement to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was glad Boone hit the home run, but I was kind of sad it happened to Wakefield.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that statement at all. Yeah.
Nah.
Not at all. So as we walk it off, Dave, any kind of closing thoughts you have for the fans?
Well, we just swept the Royals, so I said we were going to go 6-1 on this homestand. We went 4-2, so I was pretty damn close. A couple of outliers by the Giants, but we fly down to Tampa and play the Rays at GMS for 4 games. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard watch. Just looking at all at our spring training home, That's going to be interesting.
Now I know how it feels when someone just takes a dump in your driveway. Kind of the same effect.
Oh man, I can't wait to see what Roman has to say on the end of this one.
We should have him on next week to talk about it.
You know
No,
what?
I think
we'll have to reach out and have.
Yeah, we might have to. We have a lot of fun with Roman. So,
man. Yeah, guys,
must see TV right there.
Yeah, definitely. We want to thank you guys for joining us. As always, make sure if you are checking us out on the YouTube side of things that you hit the like and subscribe button and the bell for post notifications. It does truly help us continue to grow and build out this baseball community here on the Baseball Banter broadcast. And as always, if you're checking us out on the YouTube side, it is a simple click away to click on our link tree that has all the pertinent details to our merch store, sponsor links, social platforms, and audio platforms. And if you're listening on the audio side, it is linktr.ee/baseball banter broadcast, and you can get all those pertinents as well. Make sure if you are checking us out on the audio side, you leave a 5-star rating and review, as it does truly help us continue to rise up the ranks and bring you more exclusive content here on the Baseball Banter broadcast. So for Dave, I am Jeremy, and this has been the Pinstripe Plunge Report exclusively here on the Baseball Banter broadcast. Thanks, and we'll catch you guys next week. Once again, peace.